And I believe my name is on your scoreboard at the high school. I do want to set one thing straight before I introduce speaker. Harper thinks that I'm a Mississippi State fan or grad. I grew up in Arkansas as a Razorback, still follow the Razorbacks. I like the Razorbacks so much that I understand they are 19-point underdogs this week at Georgia. 18. I'll give you $100 bill. Ooh. If Georgia beats that spread, and if they don't, you stand at this podium next Monday night and wear a hog hat and call the Hogs.
If I do beat that deal, I'm bringing brother stew here.
Oh yeah, it'll be a heck of a game. Let's see, ESPN will be there the whole deal.
Pitfalls.
My task tonight is not to read all the minutia about our speaker. You've got bios on your table that you can easily do that. I think the best predictor of the future is a person's past. In the bio, it mentions Florida, Kansas State, Missouri, Texas, Iowa State, Learfield Sports. I think this man has prepared himself for the job that he has taken in Memphis. Those are great credentials. Those are great jobs. He took the job October the 1st of 2019. 5 months later, COVID hit. Put this in perspective. 2019, the year he leaves Florida, the athletic budget is $160 million. 2020, first year of COVID, their deficit was as large as the Memphis budget is total. Just for a frame of reference, Tennessee's budget is $140 million. I'll give you an idea that this is big business. What I like about Mr. Beach is he had a plan. Most of you, like I do, run and own businesses, and they all operate off of a plan. All successful businesses, all successful universities, and all undertakings have a plan. Tonight, I think you'll see some of that plan. I've encouraged him to bring it and show it to you. He's got a presentation that I'll show to you. I'm not a graduate of the University of Memphis. I only have a grandchild that went to the University of Memphis. I am on the board of visitors at the University of Memphis. And under NCAA rules, I'm also considered a booster. So I guess I am part of the University of Memphis. I furnish automobiles to the University of Memphis, as we do to Ole Miss. I have done so in the past at Mississippi State, and I did so at Tennessee until they dropped me. I think the university is critical to our success as a city. If you study history, there are no great towns or cities in the world without a great university. We're blessed with our UT Medical Center, but we're blessed more than that with the University of Memphis. There are over 22,000 students who go to school. It's the second largest university or college in the state. 2,500 people work there. Not many of them are minimum wage jobs. There's been a lot of conversation about the Liberty Bowl and its viability as a home for the Tigers, the Liberty Bowl, and the Southern Heritage Classic. I hope Larry will share some of his thoughts and ideas on how they're going to set the table and what they think this is about. Here's something to remember. The Liberty Bowl was built in 1965, deemed too old. 71 of the football FBS universities play in a stadium built before 1965. That's 55%. Think about these schools. Harper, Georgia, 1929, 91-year-old. Texas A&M, 93 years old. Cincinnati, 96 years old. Texas, ditto, LSU, ditto. Oklahoma, 97 years old. Vandy, 99. Get the picture? University of Tennessee plays in a 100-year-old stadium. Ole Miss, 1915. Mississippi State, 1914. Pennsylvania plays in the oldest stadium in America, 1895. A lot of conversation about conference change. Maybe you'll talk about that. Maybe you can't talk about it. Big topic lately. 9 SEC teams. 9 SEC teams are in their 3rd league. 3 SEC teams are in their 4th league, and soon Texas will be in their 5th league. So there's always been change. Memphis has been in 5 leagues, just like Kansas, Nebraska, and Oklahoma. It's ironic that the Big 12 accused our conference, the AAC, of poaching their teams and then took 25% of its membership. Cincinnati will be going into its 7th conference, and Houston into its 6th conference. And last and most important, in a few days, maybe a few weeks, maybe it's already been done, University of Memphis will be announced as a Carnegie R1 research institution. That is a really big deal. When these conferences decide to sit around who they want to sit at the dinner table with, they all want to sit around with people who, talk the same language. Think about this. There are 3 Carnegie R1 schools in Mississippi. There are only 2 in Tennessee. UT, Baylor. Soon there will be a 3rd. There's only 1 in Arkansas. There's only 1 in Kentucky. There's only 2 in Louisiana. So we will be in the big league. I think this is the guy that's going to take us there. Larry Beach, athletic director, vice president, intercollegiate athletes.
Wow, that was an introduction now. Hey, I appreciate y'all setting up this dinner tonight. Well, I know we got some work to do, so y'all are excused. You're always welcome to Memphis. Just remember that. Things change down the road. Just remember you're always welcome back home. I also, I'm clearly not a very good negotiator because part of my negotiations with Coach Silverfield should be that he talks at the Touchdown Club the night after we got a loss on that Saturday. That was not foreseen very well by myself. And I also want to share that the real reason that we lost that game is because Mr. Dowell left early, from what I understand. So I want to share with the group why you chose to.
My grandson had to go to the bathroom.
Thank you all. Thanks for having me here. Appreciate your support of football. I played myself, and I am a firm believer that it's a big part of the fabric of this country, and it's something we need to continue to support and circle around in whatever way, shape, or form we can. I did, as Ken mentioned, I started actually 2 years ago this week at Memphis. So right during the middle of the season, if you recall, that was a pretty special year for the Tigers, going on to the Cotton Bowl. We also had a little coaching change right after that with Coach Norvell going down to Florida State. Obviously, that looks a little different now than it did at that time, but it's certainly a challenging time. Certainly proud of our manager of that, Jeff Crane, our Deputy Athletic Director. Please, everybody, welcome Jeff. Jeff walked with me throughout that whole process, and we were very, very proud of hiring Coach Silverfield, the job he's been doing. But shortly after that, a lot of things changed. If you remember with our men's basketball program, we had a little situation with a player named James Wiseman. Entered into an IARP process with the NCAA, then followed that by a pandemic and managing pandemic and vaccines and a lot of financial challenges, had a reduction in force in our staff, many cuts, a lot of difficult decisions to make. Then went into a lot of social, kind of racial unrest in our country, and working with our coaches and staff and teammates, players on that process, followed by transfer legislation, name, image, and likeness. conference realignment, and now a full restructure of the NCAA. So easy year to start off as. However, with all that, I am genuinely proud and excited about where we're headed, things that are going on in Memphis. We've, really just from 1 year, look at us financially, from a financial standpoint, from a sales standpoint, attendance standpoint. We took a dip down pretty dramatic last year, and we are already right back up where we started pre-COVID. So in 1 year, we've been able to sort of shift and change and turn that around, which is pretty remarkable. It's certainly a reflection of the fact that we have really good programs. Obviously our football program is doing real well. Men's basketball, really proud of the hire we just made with women's basketball, Katrina Merriweather. So feel really good about the direction of that. And as Ken shared, the university's in great shape, right? We've made a big shift here in recent years, really since the university became oversight from our own board of trustees, and what that's done to really enable and enhance our university and the trajectory, of our institution since that point under President Rudd has been dramatic, and it's certainly been reflected now with the Carnegie One status that's going to be announced shortly. So there's so many things to be happy and positive and excited about with Memphis, and I'm certainly happy to be here in front of you. I do want to take a few minutes to share some of the vision and thoughts that Ken alluded to for our department here moving forward. But I will move through this fairly quickly. So I got a little presentation, some slides to show you. You're probably tired of slides from all those Zoom calls you had over the last year or two. But I want to zip through some of this real quick, and then I will leave plenty of time at the end. If whoever wants to ask questions, I'll do my best. I think Kent laid out a few for me that I apparently need to address already, so we'll give that a shot in a bit. So first of all, from an athletic department standpoint, I think you all are certainly well aware of the success from a football side, but we've also had a lot of other successes. Certainly men's basketball has reflected well. Our facility investments in recent years have been phenomenal, highlighted by our indoor practice facility in football. We've had a lot of NCAA tournament appearances by other sports, but perhaps most importantly, our student athletes do really well in the classroom, which does not get the publicity or the attention that it deserves. 3.5 grade point average last spring semester, 92% graduation rate, which is actually second in our conference overall. So we do really well academically. And I always like to draw attention to the fact that we bring a lot of national attention to Memphis, to the university, to the city, etc. You think about some of the experiences and things that you've witnessed here just in recent years with the Cotton Bowl, College Game Day, NIT championships, and the like. A few quick stats for you so that you know the kind of full picture. Obviously, you know the football program well, right? What I tell folks is, for you all, you've probably heard of maybe 30 or 40 of our student athletes. If you think about men's basketball, probably 10 or 12 men's basketball players, 20, 30 football players that get more attention. We actually have over 400 student athletes that Jeff and I think about every day and work towards supporting. Have 19 sports, 143 staff, and a great deal of that staff turned over here just in the last year. So as Ken mentioned, we do have a vision for the department. So you may have read or heard about this here recently. We announced this about a month ago, and really went through a very thorough process as a department to develop this plan. So it was not a Jeff and Laird sitting in a room trying to outlining this thing and figuring out where we want to go. We went through a really inclusive process with coaches and staff and players, and really had a lot of input as we developed this. And essentially it comes down to two things: a strategic plan, a true strategic plan for the department, as well as a master plan for all of our facilities. So our vision for this decade is to be a rising athletics department that supports and graduates our student athletes while delivering championship level experience resulting in national prominence. Most of that speaks for itself, but the rising part of it, I think, is very, very real. We are a department that's been on the rise in many respects for the last several years, and our trajectory is really strong, whether that's from a competitive standpoint, from an academic standpoint, institutionally, within this city, how we sit geographically. There's so many things that are really to our advantage. But the goal is to result in national prominence, as I indicated earlier on that slide, and we're going to continue to push that forward. We also did a very thorough job of sort of describing who we are and outlining that for our department, for our coaches, for our student athletes, and this is something we're going to continue to draw back to. So I won't run through all this detail, but this part of describing us came out of a lot of discussions throughout our department. And I will tell you that the two that I like to talk about the most are pride. I really find in this city, the university and the athletic department and the support that we get and the attention that we get in this city is really unique and special for a school of our size. And our staff and our coaches and our student athletes take a lot of pride in returning that pride in us. And the hard work part of it, when we did surveys, when we had focus groups, and we talked through with all of our people, the things we kept hearing were, we are blue collar and we are gritty. This place likes to work and outwork others, and that's the big part of our success. So we really did a lot to sort of define ourselves moving forward. And then within that, I won't get into all the detail, but we established real goals with specific measurements and strategies for all those areas, whether it's academics, compliance, diversity, equity, inclusion, gender equity, all under model, and all the way down through. So the parts that you really want to kind of see and hear about are the work and the planning that we have associated with our facilities. So we also went through a real thorough process with some architects and all of our coaches to design a vision for how we want to continue to elevate our facility infrastructure at Memphis. And the vast majority of this is focused on what we're calling Tiger Park, which is, you all know, as the South Campus or Park Avenue campus, and it's really the southern half of that, a lot of which still exists today, as you can see on the left-hand side with the new indoor down in the lower right-hand corner, and see where we want to head here moving forward with all the other blue buildings. So we've broken this out into a few phases. I will tell you the first that I want us to really focus on, and which is going to have a real dramatic impact on the student athlete experience for us, is working with our institution, first of all, to develop a student housing complex here. You all have been there, you've seen the Army barracks, right kind of north of the baseball stadium. We're going to tear those out and build about a 500-bed student housing complex, of which athletics will have 49%. So we'll be able to essentially house the vast majority of our student athletes right there on the Tiger Park campus. And then right across from that, we're going to build what we're going to call Student Athlete Success Center, which will house all of the support services for student athletes: dining, academics, nutrition, mental health, really anything that impacts a student athlete beyond where they train and compete, we'll have right there. So it's the student athlete village concept that you started here. Other schools talk about that they desire. We're uniquely positioned to do that because of what else has been done here, and because of the infrastructure that's already set up on that campus. So it's really going to be a piece that for us and for our level, we're going to be able to set ourselves apart. A lot of folks want to do what we have the ability here to do, and it's really kind of built around the Olympic Village that you've heard talk about in years past, sort of develop and that type of experience, and we want to bring it here. And then from there, we're going to continue over this coming decade to invest in several other elements. We know we need to build a soccer track stadium. We want to continue to provide upgrades to baseball. We've secured a couple gifts here recently to help us really push that forward, which we're excited about. Jeff and I were talking about it earlier today, and some investments of anywhere from $2 to $3 million that we're going to be able to put into baseball here over the next year. And then with that, we have several other elements that we want to upgrade for other sports, like with golf, softball, etc. And eventually then continue to expand out and build on football. So for those of you that have been over there and seen that recently, it's a pretty remarkable building. There's been a lot of investment here in recent years, and it's put us in a really good position. But down the road, we're going to want to continue to expand and grow and invest in those areas. So that's sort of where we're headed and what the vision is long term. Some pictures for you to give you a sense of what we'd like to accomplish with the Billy J. Murphy complex, where football is housed on the left-hand side, baseball over here. We want to develop a true kind of circle drive and front entrance, front porch for football, with some other upgrades, obviously, to FedEx Park, Hopeman Field. And then the soccer track complex that I mentioned, and where that sits now with the stands, and what we want to build down the road taking advantage of the location with baseball and building out that infrastructure in between. And then the Student Athlete Success Center that I mentioned now. So this looks down right on top of where the throws area is for our soccer, for our track and field programs, and what we want to build here coming soon. So that's our vision there, and then of course the real topic of the Liberty Bowl and football stadium. Yes, sir.
Where's the basketball, Bill Laurie, Walton, where's that building?
It is, let me take you back, I'll show you exactly where it is. So it sits right up here now. So if you enter right here on the west side of that campus, and go, yeah, right, and then,
You come in off of Getwell.
yes, I'm sorry, come on up to
Okay.
Getwell. Yes,
Thank you.
come on up to Getwell right there, it's
Thank
right there to the right when you first enter.
Thank you.
So you can't miss it if you go by. Big pillars, it's a remarkable building. I've been in a lot of these, there's really not a better one in the country. All right, and then Liberty Bowl Memorial Stadium, as Kent mentioned earlier, this is, I'm sure, a hot topic and a question that I would get here at some point. We have started a design process with the city to how we can upgrade the Liberty Bowl here moving forward. In fact, we had a meeting just this last Friday with the architects and several folks really brainstorming for about a half a day about what we can do and how we can invest in this facility moving forward. The question always comes up or about the on-campus stadium or a new stadium versus investing in the Liberty Bowl. You know, I will tell you from my own standpoint, if we're going to build an on-campus stadium or a new stadium, it's probably a $200 million plus difference between what you would have to do there versus investing in this facility here. So unless the state of Tennessee or somebody else wants to come along and help us with $200-300 million, then I think we're very well served to continue to invest in the Liberty Bowl. And I will tell you, just from my experience at other institutions, this is one area that I've had the fortune of being involved with a lot at different places, is upgrading facilities, particularly football stadiums. And I truly believe the bones of the Liberty Bowl are very, very good, and we can do a lot with it. So I'm excited about the idea of continuing to invest in that. I think there's things you can do really to upgrade not only the look and how it sort of presents, but the experience for fans, particularly kind of premium type experiences. But one of the things, as an example, we were talking about the other day is the halo that sits around the Liberty Bowl, and how you can even move the perimeter back to that, and what the things you can do to activate in that space. Let alone Liberty Park and all the things that surround it, the parking, Tiger Lane, etc. We have an opportunity, I believe, to invest in this facility and make it everything it needs to be. So that's it. That's the quick presentation. This sort of details out just as a snapshot of our vision here moving forward, and the Student Athlete Success Center that we want to invest in here over the next few years. So. Questions? I will be happy to entertain. Please shoot away. You can ask me anything. I may answer. I may not. Yes, sir. You bet.
We had the touchdown club a few years ago. We had 2 of these meetings over at your facility.
Mm-hmm.
2 of the best meetings we've ever had. I want to do that again.
We do too. Let's figure it out.
Well, you got it. You answered my question.
There you go.
Yeah, I want you and the head coach there for that meeting.
Yeah, we'd love to do that. That'd be great.
Alrighty.
Yeah. And COVID's created some challenges for us here in the last year or two. I'm sure that had a big part in it, but we'd love to have you. So we're happy to
And
set that
Ken
up.
will sponsor that meeting.
Ken sponsors a lot, so I can see him being happy to do that.
All you gotta do is take that golf thing away and just give that to us.
Other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah. What's the status of the president?
Well, as you all have read and heard, he did announce his retirement. He's committed to staying with the university through the end of this academic year, up to the end of the academic year, and that'll be depending on when a new president is hired. There has been a committee established, and they're going through a process right now. And my understanding is that process will continue through this fall. So I think you could probably anticipate somebody being named by the end of the calendar year. And then that transition would be determined at that point. So that was not a good day. I should put that on the list of things that happened to me in the last year or two. That the president called me and told me he was going to retire. That was challenging to hear because he's had a huge impact on this place. Obviously hired me, and appreciate all his leadership and what he's done. But we are in a really good position. Like I mentioned earlier, having our own board of trustees that really understands and gets and supports the university puts us in a really good position to manage that. Yes, sir.
How do you see conference realignment as the University of Memphis in the coming years?
Well, first of all, I would love to be able to just predict that, right, which that's probably one of the biggest challenges. Nobody really can predict it. You laughed a couple months ago that Texas and Oklahoma were going to be in the SEC. I would have kind of looked at you like you're crazy. But I will tell you that Memphis is truly positioned extremely well. And I had a lot of conversations with a lot of athletic directors, presidents, and others when that whole Big 12 process was taking place. And when I said we were right in the middle of the conversation, I meant it. We are very much right in the middle of the conversation. And we are really well positioned for a lot of reasons. I would say the reason in the end why we didn't get sort of selected this first round was ultimately about the size of our institution and our alumni base, which we are a big, strong university. But if you look at Cincinnati, UCF, Houston, they are more than double our student body in terms of their enrollment. And because of that, they really did a lot of projecting out in terms of what viewership will look like from a television standpoint in years ahead. And so much of it now is less about sort of market you're in and more about subscription-based television moving forward, right? So that's the new model, and that's one of the biggest metrics they use to project. But beyond that, and really compared to all the other sort of options that might be out there looking forward, if the Big 12 or the ACC or others were looking to expand, we're positioned really well, not only from a quality of programs, competitive standpoint, but geographically, recruiting territory, passion for football, passion for basketball. There's a lot of things that really position us well. So we'll see. I do think there'll be more shakeup and change in the future, but exact timing and how that'll work and where we end up, the reality is nobody knows, but we are really well positioned.
Can you talk about high-profile opponents in the future in football?
Yeah, we have several that are scheduled. I'm sure many of them have been announced. So we have a series with Arkansas, 2-for-1 coming up. They'll play in our place once, there twice. Help me out, Jeff. Missouri's the next one. We got another similar type of arrangement with Missouri coming up. I will tell you, people don't want to play us. So it is a real challenge. Jeff leads that process for us and makes a lot of calls, and I can tell you we get a lot of no's for a lot of reasons, but mainly because we're a tough beat, right? We're a program that can, as we demonstrated here a couple of weeks ago, can step up and beat anybody. So it makes it challenging in this era to get those kind of games scheduled, but we're happy to play anybody. I will tell you that. Ryan will not shy away. We obviously, I think you all heard that we announced a game at Florida State here in a couple 3 years. I wish we were playing this week, but